So I started reading my next Black-A-Thon read, which is The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Souljah. I am having fun reading this. I have not written too many notes down about it. I feel like I should, but at the same time, I'm being super. Mm, I'm not even sure what notes to write down right now. All I know is just like I'm just getting wrapped up and immersed in reading this. So I'm about to get off the cuff. I'm kind of like remembering it, reminiscing. I'm seeing a lot of where other people whose reviews and comments and thoughts on this book, I'm kind of seeing some of their the way I'm kind of understanding what they thought about it now compared to what I thought about it when I was like in my teens reading it for the first time. Because for me, like in my teens when I read Winter's voice, I was just like, I kind of admired Winter because Winter was just like she went out and she did what she wanted to do. Like she went out, she did what she wanted to do. She had like I'm gonna tell you, Winter had so much agency. That's one thing I'm reading. I'm realizing that I kind of knew back then, but I understand even more now. That Winter had so much agency as a character. Although she looked up to her father and she listened to what he had to say and she did what he had to say, she had so much agency. She was just like, I want to do what I want to do. I know who I am. I can't nobody just tell me what like the only person who could probably do that is like my daddy, and even him I'm not really even listening to like that. Like if I want to go get this dick, I'm gonna go get this dick. If I want to go party with my girls, I'm gonna go party with my girls. You're gonna feel how you want to feel and do what you want to do, but I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you're gonna deal with it. Like, and she was just so I just loved her for that. She was just such a boss ass. But at times she said some shit and I'd just be looking at her like, girl, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you talking about? Winter's a key though. Winter is a key. Winter is hilarious because she would just say some wild shit. But the thing that got was the wildest was when she was talking about like Sister Soldier was saying something on the radio and she was like, I don't know what Sister Soldier got against drug dealers. Like, it's not drug dealers' fault why people are on drugs. Like, I just like what is wrong with this girl? She is like I was laughing because like this girl is nuts. Like she's a 16-year-old nut, but at the same time she's also kind of admirable. That's the thing I saw in reading Winter. She's a complex and she's just a very developed character, whereas like there are things you'll admire in her, like her agency and her willingness to be like, I'm gonna do what it, like she's going and doing stuff and she's making things happen for herself. She's not letting the plot or people around her just kind of like push her along until the end of the book. Like she's going for it and saying like, oh, okay. And she's making moves and she's thinking and she's doing and she's making things happen. But then also she has moments where you're kind of like, what are you saying? This is dumb. You are dumb. You're dumb. You're a dummy. That's why, and that's something that I've heard from people who read it, and they were like, I kind of hated Winter because Winter's she's dumb. She's stupid. She's a stupid girl. And when I read it at the time, I was just like, I didn't think she was dumb. I thought she was pretty cool. But now I'm kind of like, I still think she's pretty cool, but I also think she's kind of like, girl, you're a dummy though. Like she was doing some stuff, and I was just like, what? Huh? like like girl, listen to your daddy, listen to your mama. What are you doing? I am having a lot of laughs with this story. I'm having a lot of very thought-provoking moments. The story's it's pretty fast-paced. Like for me, like the first chapter is like a lot of setting up who Winter is, who her family is, what her world is like. And she is just very true to life of who a lot of like young black girls in New York are kind of like. She's very true to that, where it's like, especially in Brooklyn and stuff like that, we're just like, they're just so bangy and so like hood and so like just that girl. Like they're just like so man Brooklyn, man. Like I just love this book. It's so good. It's so good and it's so real. Like, and that's the thing. It's also giving me a little bit of the Hate U Give vibes. But the Hate U Give also kind of gave me these vibes when I initially read it. But the Hate U Give is a little tamer. Although it's like it's dealing with a heavy subject matter, it's a lot tamer than this book. This book is like raw. Winter's out here just telling you like, yo, Like I wanted that nigga. I wanted his dick. I wanted that. Like she's keeping it so real, almost like too real. And the weird thing is, this book could almost be like a YA coming of age kind of novel. It's just that it has a lot of very adult themes. It's a lot of themes going on from like a black woman's coming of age in a very city urban setting. And when it comes to urban, for me, personally, my idea of what urban is, I go by the dictionary definition and not by that colloquial definition that they basically label black people with, where it's just like, you're urban, so you're black. And it's just like, but that doesn't make a lot of sense, because urban is like the city. And as much as there are a lot of black people in urban settings, it's also like, if I read a story about urban, like I expect an urban setting, I don't just expect it to be black people. So the idea that, because that's why it was just kind of weird, because it's like, if you're gonna call something an urban fantasy, but most of the characters are likely in, for instance, from my understanding, the Shadowhunter series is like an urban fantasy, but most of the characters are white. So how do we label that urban fantasy if there aren't black people, but you say urban is black? Why does this all logically make sense in the greater world, but like, why does that make sense? But in urban fantasy, it's urban fantasy because it's set in the city. But when it comes to black people and you say call it urban fiction, it's like urban because black people are in it, which doesn't make sense. Just say it's fiction with black people in it. Just say that. It makes more sense. So technically, I would call it, technically this would be urban fiction, but it would be urban fiction because it's actually set in a city. Either way, The Coldest Winter Ever is fun. It's a fun read. I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of brand name dropping and a lot of materialism, but also a lot of Winter getting checked on her bullshit, and a lot of Winter just being like still a badass though. Like I do admire her like boldness and her like, I'm gonna go get what I want, although she doesn't get everything that she wants. And right now I'm at the point where, what page is this? We are at page 88, 89, where Winter is in some shit and she's figuring her way around it, and she's just got her head on and she's working. And I'm like, because that's the thing that makes Winter such a great character. She's so complex, and it's hard, and you're kind of like, how does that make sense that she's still so smart but she's still so dumb? Because she's a complex character, because some parts, in some ways she's smart and she does things that you like, I can agree with that, I wish I was that smart. And then there are times when you're like, girl, I'm smarter than that, I know better than that, that's dumb, what are you doing? I'm going to read some more of this today, and I would suggest that other people read The Coldest Winter Ever, because it is so good. It is so silly. I don't know how other people will take it, because there are things that I laughed about reading in this book that other people would probably like gasp and clutch their pearls and hold their chest and be like, what is this I'm reading? Whereas I'm just like laughing at it, because I'm like, okay, some of this is, it's ridiculous, but it's also realistically ridiculous. Like, you can actually believe somebody's this unrealistically real and so ridiculous. This is fun, and I will be back to talk some more about how much more fun this book gets. I remember some of the other things that are gonna come up, and they are a thing, girl. A thing.